I'm going to try this again. Apparently, my video didn't go on earlier, so I'm going to start this again, and that was just a practice and trial run. So, hi, I'm Jen Pillow White, and I am the Friendly Neighborhood Craniosacral Therapist here at Michigan Associates in Acupuncture and Integrative Medicine. And it is, I'm trying, I thought I had it all prepared, but I guess I don't. It's May 31st. All right, yay, I think my coworkers are on now. Hooray, I don't know what I did. I apologize. Hey, we're all human, right? So, I am Jen Pillow White. I am going to talk to you a little bit about your immune system and your lymphatic system. So, just a quick little, touch base. I'm good. We're hunkered down. We're spending a lot of good quality family time together. Lots of walks, lots of cuddles with our new cat. We're good. We're okay. I hope you're even greater. Miss you a lot. So, what I'm going to talk to you is about the lymph system. Now, I always say that the lymphatic system is kind of like the Rodney Dangerfield of all systems. And that is, what was his tagline? He said, I get no respect, right? And that's kind of what the lymph system is like. Lymphatic system is one of your 11 systems of your body. And it is considered kind of one of the newest systems, not because it's evolved most recently. Actually, it's because we've just recently found it within the last 100 years or so. It's kind of a hard system to actually find because the fluid within it is clear. The vessels are clear. So when you would do dissections back in the day, unless you dyed it, you couldn't see it, so it wasn't there, right? So and so now, so it's a relatively newer understood system. And when it comes to med school and in science classes and whatever, we don't spend as much time talking about it as we do some of the other systems. The other systems are sexier. Well, you know what's sexy about the lymphatic system? Keeping us alive, all right? Keeping us healthy, keeping us safe. Our lymph system is responsible for two things. It's responsible for returning and moving water and some key elements within it through our body and returning it back to our bloodstream, as well as trying to move our immune cells. Our immune cells are largely housed within the lymphatic system. So your cardiovascular system is responsible for moving blood. And within that blood is oxygen, nutrition, as well as immune cells. And that material needs to get to all the cells of your body in order to, help with cellular feeding. And in order for that to happen, much of that material needs to get out of the blood vessels, all right, and get into the tissue spaces. So as this fluid circulates, the blood and those key elements flow through your blood vessels. At the capillary level, they actually can squeak out of the capillary walls and get into the tissue spaces. This fluid now is, water. It's going to have some oxygen, some nutrition, as well as white blood cells. They are going to be called now interstitial fluid. And this fluid does its magic. The white blood cells there do its magic, searching for some debris or searching for foreign invaders that have made its way into our body that is not supposed to be there. And there's a whole flow chart, in a sense, of different immune cells that are responsible or specific for certain things. All right. The key ones we're really looking at for this, COVID-19 are the ones that are really specialized for viruses. So things like macrophages and mast cells and T cells and B cells and natural killer, one of their names. They need to move. They need to be obviously moving through the bloodstream and moving to the tissue spaces to search and destroy. But they also now need to be moved back to the system, back and throughout the entire body. So this interstitial fluid needs to be kind of soaked up or picked up at the tissue levels, and then it needs to be moved back to the bloodstream, basically to maintain blood volume as well as to encourage movement and circulation and communication with all these different immune cells. So there are specialized vessels at that level, at the interstitial level, called lymph vessels. And these lymphatic vessels will kind of soak up that fluid, that interstitial fluid, and pull that water into their vessels and now move them in a one-way direction back to the bloodstream, kind of up in this general area. And lymph vessels are kind of lazy. They're sluggish. They don't really move super well. Like blood vessels have a fair amount of muscle to the walls, and they contract and they move. Plus it has a big pump, namely the heart, that moves, and moves that blood from point A to point B. There really isn't that kind of muscle involvement with the lymph vessels. So what the lymph vessels kind of need is they need outsider help in order to keep that movement going so that the fluid can keep moving its way in a one-directional way back up towards the heart in that general area, and that's where it meets the bloodstream. So with the fluid not moving as easily in that system, it's easy to understand why we can tend to swell or we tend to congest a little bit when we don't move. If our feet tend to swell, if we've been on our feet all day long, because that lymph needs to move its way up against gravity and such. So we need, in situations like that, we need assistance to get that fluid moving. And again, the magical warriors that are within it to keep the immune cells moving. So what we can do to encourage that movement are a couple manual techniques to keep that fluid moving. First, I'm going to start with is really basically kind of plungering the area where all that lymph meets the bloodstream. Make sure that that area is free. You have two main ducts that collect all this lymph that I'm mentioning. And they meet the bloodstream right around the level of where your collarbones right here meet your sternum, all right? And so if you kind of take your fingers and kind of curl them like so, and then kind of go just above and behind your collarbones or your clavicles, you can kind of feel like you can kind of hang in there. What you want to do is you want to kind of stroking your fingers medially or towards midline. And what that does is it almost kind of squeegees or plungers the main ducts in that area. And one of the analogies I would always use in practice is that my old house, I was a lucky person at the end of the block that had the storm drain. And the storm drain was responsible for getting all the water or the rain from my street to pull it away into the sewer system. And so if we got a really, really heavy rain, not only would the rain coming down in front of my house come pouring down to that storm drain, everything from the end of the street would come pouring down as well, all right? I also was lucky enough to be the one with a major tree. I had a huge maple tree on my front yard. And when we would have debris from the tree, if I wasn't really good about cleaning that area up and maybe leaves kind of collected, and then we got a heavy rain, what it would do is it would obstruct the storm drain, and it would obstruct the storm drain, and then it would allow the rain to not only flood in front of my house, but it would flood down from the street. And so the whole street would be mad as fire at me. So what I would do then is go out there with my rake and go clean the leaves and the debris away, and then all of a sudden, suction would happen. And I would get all the rain in front of my house pulling down to the storm drain, but also from the rest of the street, all right? I could go at the end of the street with a major, pretend squeegee. It wouldn't get rid of the rainwater unless I clean that main drain. And that's exactly what we're doing here. Our main lymph ducts come and connect with our blood vessels, specifically our subclavian veins, right about here. And if you have these lymph vessels constantly drawing debris, as well as maybe a high population of white blood cells, they can actually cause obstruction. They can kind of start gumming up the system a little bit there. And so what we want to do is we want to clean that area and make sure that it's free flowing. And if that's the only thing you do lymphatic wise, that are based on lymphatic drainage principles, that's the only thing you do, that is a whole lot. That will make a huge difference. So what you do is, again, curling your fingers just on the other side of the collarbone, and then you bring your fingers medially. And if you really want to go an extra step further, you can sink your fingers down a little bit. Now, you're really just trying to pretend you have like Spider-Man fingers. You are just sticking to your skin. You're not pushing, you're not sinking, you're not, doing anything like that. All you're doing is trying to drain and drag the skin of sorts. Most of our lymphatic vessels are actually pretty superficial, shortly underneath the skin surface. So really much and most of what we do in lymph drainage therapy is really rather light. There are some lymph vessels that relate to our deep organs. That's where your friendly neighborhood lymph drainage therapist comes into play. But for the most part, the superficial stuff is really where the magic happens, because again, if you can clear that superficial stuff out, including here, it creates a vacuum and it will really create a huge impact. Another thing you can do for yourself involves what we call a skin brush, a lymph brush. It's really nothing spectacular. It's just a regular skin exfoliator brush. You can get it at Target or Walgreens or whatever, $10, cheap, not too expensive at all. And it's made out of boar's bristle. Or if you don't have something like that, you could use a loofah. All right, doesn't work as well, but it works still nonetheless. This is best. What you do is with dry brushing is you do this before you take a shower or, not relating to having wet skin. You do this with dry skin. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the brush's bristles and actually put them on your skin, and you're going to make contact, and then you're going to pull it forward towards your heart. You're not sinking in. You don't want to create pain, okay? But what you're doing is you're just kind of getting the contact, and then the bristles drag across. It's definitely going to exfoliate. It's also going to cause your skin to pink up. That's good. What that does is that stimulates the lymph vessels underneath, and it's also bringing blood flow to the general area. It feels really good, all right? And you can do this to your entire body. Yes, you can replay these later on. Yes, you can. You drag it across on both sides of your body, ultimately up towards, like arms would be up towards your underarm. Legs would be up towards the trunk. You could do your trunk. You can do your back if you have one with a handle or a partner. And that's really it. Now, there is some methodology like your lymph therapist would use in regards to the movement of some of this fluid. But for you at home, really the goal is going towards the heart. All right, you just moving it up. Other things you can do to encourage movement within the system, and thus encouraging the immune cells to get where they need to go, is movement. Get out and move. Walk, run, exercise, do your home gym, whatever it might be. That really is very helpful. One of the things I talk to my clients about who are really very, very eager about in stimulating their lymph system and stimulating their immunity is to go out and purchase a really inexpensive home exercise equipment, and that's called a rebounder. So this rebounder is just a small trampoline. It's not very big at all, just enough for you to stand on. This is not the trampoline that you have out in your backyard, although that would be fine too. And what you're doing is you're not going to be doing any type of gymnastics here. You're just going to be basically moving. I oftentimes say just, run in place. All right? It's easier on your knees by doing that. You could do it at home. You can sit there and watch the news. Which I don't recommend because that's kind of depressing. You could sit and watch a movie. You could do whatever. Doing that for 5-7 minutes. You don't have to do it for very, very long. It's just a short spell. And that rebounder, I got it years ago, but it was maybe $30 or $40. It wasn't very, very much money. And it's definitely been something, we've used for, I've had it for 10 years, and it works great. It's awesome. And it's a really great thing. And you can use it for lots of other exercise things. Plus, the kids think it's a riot to have a trampoline in their house. So, those are great things. Other things, because again, your lymph system is again a little sluggish and it needs all the help it can get. Putting your feet up. If you have, I forget the name of what they call, inversion table. If you have something like that at home, that can be helpful. Compression stockings, can be really helpful. What it does, again, just creating the compression to move the lymph. And again, moving lymph and swelling and all that is really important. But what I'm trying to really get at is the fact that our immunity circulates in our lymphatic system. If our lymphatic system is not moving because we're hanging at home, watching Netflix, laying on the couch, our immune system isn't moving either. And so right now, we really need to make sure that our lymph system is circulating. It can get around where it needs to go. It's not stagnating. So that way, not only can you stay healthy, or heaven forbid, if you do become ill, you can fight it with great vigor. So your immune system is required for us for life. You need to feed it well and you need to treat it well, and you got to let it move. And that is one of the things that we can learn how to do with this technique. So that's what I have for you today. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I don't know what I did. Some of my friends saw my first video. So let's see here. So I just want to remind you that we're here. I'm at home. We're all at home right now, but in heart and spirit, we're here. We are still offering our telesupport, meaning that, like at least in my work, I can't treat you unless I'm able to be face-to-face with you. All right, I need to be able to use my hands. These are my tools. But what I can offer you with telesupport is be able to connect, with another human being that cares so deeply about you. So, I can offer advice, I can offer suggestions, I can offer, different home exercises that can help stimulate the different things that we do in our own practice. If there's, as well as just a kind, ear, just to know that we're all in this together. So, and that's as well as with my colleagues, my acupuncturist colleagues, we're all offering that telesupport to be able to do this all together. So if you would like to reach out to us, please call our office. Our phones are being answered Monday through Friday, 9 to 4:30. Our telephone number is 248-737-7126. I look forward to being able to see you very soon. If we all do our part, we'll get through this. We're all in this together. So we need to stay home. We need to wash our hands and not touch our face, but we need to stay home, and we need to deal with this current uncomfortableness so that the long-term benefits will be great. And that is that we can be able to be together again. So be safe, treat yourself well, feed yourself well, sleep well, read a book, and I hope to be able to talk with you soon. Be marvelous. I miss you. See you soon.